Anjikuni Lake is one of many lakes located along the Kazan River in the Kavalik region of Nunavut, Canada. Being part of the Hearn domain of the western Churchill province of the Churchill Craton, the lake's shores are notable for their rocky outcrops of the Precambrian Shield. Caribou migrate through the area, and the lake is home to trout, pike, and Arctic grayling. On a cold November day in 1930, Canadian fur trapper Joe LaBelle was traveling near Anjikuni Lake in the Northwest Territories of Canada, which is now part of the modern Nunavut Territory. Knowing of an Inuit settlement in the area, he entered the community seeking shelter and found it completely deserted. In his exploration, he found food that had been started and abandoned, empty huts filled with food and personal belongings left behind, recently lit fires still smoldering, a sealskin junior's kamiks, boots, that were not yet finished, and no sign of a struggle that would indicate the whereabouts of the people. Whatever had happened had forced the entire settlement to vacate the location. There were no tracks, and the most chilling discovery was the reason for the absence of dogs. Every single one of them had starved to death. Food, weapons, and clothing had all been abandoned. LaBelle continued on to the nearest telegraph office, located many miles away, and reported his encounter to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, to initiate an official investigation. Their investigation included the testimony of a trapper named Armand Laurent and his two sons. When questioned, they stated that they had seen a large cylindrical object that changed into a bullet shape before heading towards Anjikuni Lake. At the village, the RCMP found kayaks still sitting on the beach, food still hanging over long burning fires, and the frozen bodies of the villagers' dogs. They also found that every grave in the cemetery had been opened and emptied. The gravestones had been neatly stacked on either side of the graves, suggesting that animals were not the culprits. The RCMP eventually concluded that the Inuit people had been gone for about 8 weeks before LaBelle's arrival, but they were never able to answer why the entire settlement had abandoned the location. The earliest recorded publication about Anjikuni Lake is a 1976 citation of a November 29, 1930 article written by Emmett E. Kelleher in an article in The Bee of Danville, Virginia, which was later confused with the Halifax Herald newspaper. Brian Dunning of the Skeptoid website researched the case and traced it back to the article written by Kelleher on November 29, 1930. He noted several inconsistencies in the original story, such as the fact that the missing Inuit kayaks would not have been unaffected by wave action during the time the lake was frozen. He also noted that the estimated population size of the village had grown in later retellings, and other details had also been embellished. The first mention of the 3 trappers and their description of a UFO was made in the book World's Greatest UFO Mysteries by Nigel Blundell and Roger Bohr. Additionally, there is no physical evidence of a village ever having existed on Anjikuni Lake, and no one has ever published an account of going there and clearing away any remains. This case was developed for this site only. It has not yet appeared on Unsolved Mysteries. Solved. Dunning believed that the story was invented by Frank Edwards for his 1959 book, Stranger Than Science, when he was unable to find a copy of the original Halifax Herald newspaper article. However, researchers eventually located it in the Bee newspaper of Danville, Virginia. This is the earliest version of the story. Although Joe LaBelle was a real person, there is no verification of his ever coming across an actual village. The RCMP has received several requests for their notes on the case, but no evidence of such an investigation has ever been found.